What is the Eastern Orthodox Church? Simply put, the Eastern Orthodox Church is the Church of Christ. It's the Church of the Apostles. It's the church we read about in the Bible. It's mere Christianity. And I live in South America, where it's a Roman Catholic country, but there's a predominance of Protestant sects. And I get asked a lot, and they think the Orthodox Church is just a dime a dozen, just like another denomination on the corner. They often confuse the word Orthodox with orthodoncia. So I like to tell them that the Orthodox Church, they are the Christians in Guayaquil, the Christians in London, the Christians in the United States. But historically, the Eastern Orthodox Church has been reserved for those countries that are mentioned in the Bible, like Antioch, what's present-day Turkey, Syria, Egypt, Lebanon, all those places. And it's because of immigrants from those countries, as well as from places like Greece and Russia, that the United States has this wealth of spiritual heritage and these ancient spiritual customs. America needs orthodoxy. And I think there's something that's very sincere and that's very earnest in the American spirit. Because in the United States we don't have a lot of civil society, people turn to religion. And I think it's really important that the Orthodox Church be on people's spiritual maps. And I've had the idea over a number of years that it would be great to republish the church fathers, especially the pre-Nicene church fathers, the saints like Saint Ignatius of Antioch, who was writing in 60 AD, Saint Polycarp. These early church fathers should be made available to the public, and similar to like what Gideon's Bible did, where they put Bibles in hotel rooms and in prisons and doctors' offices. And they had this idea that if people could just read the Bible, then God would do the rest. And there's an element of truth in that, but I wish that they could have pointed people in the direction of the organic Christian communities for which the New Testament itself was written. And I think that's where we're really getting into this Christological idea of Christ being one and Christ not being divided. And so the church not being a plethora of different expressions, but being one thing. And often you would hear it said that Christians need to pray to be unified and work to be unified. But maybe the elephant in the room is that Christians are already unified, because I can go to any Eastern Orthodox church in the world and hear the Nicene Creed spoken every Sunday, the statement of belief. And even if I'm not in another language, or if I'm in a language I don't understand, I can still follow along and know what they're saying. So I would argue that within our community there is unity of belief. And it's interesting because the Bible doesn't claim to be the ultimate authority. When they talk about the Word, they're talking about Christ. But what the Bible does say is that the church is to be the authority. And when we can get away from this idea of a visible church and realize that it's tangible, just like Christ on this earth was tangible. So he left something tangible, and he left structures of bishops. The Eastern Orthodox Church started defining itself as Eastern Orthodox, I guess, in reaction to the Great Schism, when there was a separation of East and West in the 11th century. And it just means right praise in Greek. Ortho is right, and dox is praise. So Orthodox just means right praise. And if you go to some of these traditional countries today, they will just refer to themselves as Christians or as the church. And I think it's very telling that if you go to most all the places that are mentioned in the Bible, Thessaloniki, Antioch, all these places, and you ask them, where's the church? They're going to point you to the Eastern Orthodox Church. So I would just really encourage people to look more into Orthodoxy. And if you want more resources, you can read Callistos Ware. He wrote a great book, The Orthodox Church. That's a classic.